Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. As you guys probably saw in the title, I tried out for the Texas Ranchers DUPR 16 team, and I recorded the whole thing to give y'all a behind the scenes look at what it's like to try out for an official team. Here on the left side, that is Coach Ryan, who is the official coach for Texas Ranchers. And on the right, that's Virginia, who is the head of community for Texas Ranchers. And they are just giving us a brief overview of what's going to happen in this 4-hour long tryout. About 23 guys and 8 girls showed up. And by the end of this tryout, they are going to pick 3 guys and 3 girls to represent DUPR 16. So for this very first drill, they had us play a kitchen game where we are just dinking. One person will start in the transition zone, drop the ball in, and then we'll play the point out from there. This was more of a cooperative drill. They didn't want us speeding up the ball right away. The goal was to keep the rally going as long as possible and pretty much show how we can move the ball around the kitchen. Quick disclaimer, I know the video quality isn't the greatest. I accidentally recorded in low resolution. Ooh, nice shot. So my bad on that one. And while we're dinking, for those who don't know, Texas Ranchers is Austin's MLP team, and now there's this whole thing called Road to Minors, where amateurs get a chance to play alongside the pros. So whenever the pros are playing in a tournament, the minor teams are also invited to play against the other cities' minor teams. They've got divisions based on DUPR ranging from 12 all the way to DUPR 22, and DUPR 16 are pretty much players averaging around the 4.0 rating. I am currently a 4.15, and at this point the Ranchers already had teams for every other DUPR level except for 16, so this tryout was to finally build that roster. We are rotating every 4 points since there are about 6 people per court, and while we're doing the drill, Coach Ryan, Virginia, and Aiden from DUPR 18 team are walking around taking notes and watching us play. This was kind of funny because whenever we notice that they're watching, we all suddenly get more aggressive trying to impress them. And of course, you know me, I keep messing up every time they look at me, and it's just like a mental thing. It's crazy. But anyways, we do this for about 30 minutes, and then Coach Ryan gathers us together to just give us some feedback and also a lesson.
So the first thing, the reason why we feed it to the midcourt is one, like transition is something you can never underinvest in, right? So your drops may be good when you're dialed, but if it's windy or if you're nervous, or if someone's really long, like these guys, right? Your drop isn't going to drop in terms of like bouncing and being like boom, right? So you're going to need to work from the midcourt to be patient and be kind of low and stable to kind of earn those. It's tricky. It's not just the straight shot from 22 feet. It's like 16 feet. It's bouncing at you 14 feet. It's a half volley from 9. So you can never. That's why people play 7-11, play skinny singles straight up. You can never kind of underinvest in transition because as you continue to get better and play better, you're going to have to hit 3 or 4 shots to get in. And don't be. And the way I like to think about it is you don't have to be in a rush, but you want to take space. So if I just get a bouncing ball and on someone and they're in a defensive position, then I'm going to close that gap a little bit more. But if I've known it's come off my paddle and it's a little bit higher, I'm staying down and I'm kind of treating it like I'm the Terminator. Like I'm gumming up whether you want it or not. I don't need to sprint up. I don't need to try to take unnecessary risks. But I'm going to make 3, 4, 5 balls. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of someone hitting you 3 resets, you can be honest with yourself and say, oh man, like they're coming, they're closing. I'm going to potentially try to attack when I shouldn't, or I'm going to divert it to their partner. And so if you feel like you can be a Terminator, you can actually provide a lot of like visual pressure. The other reason why we feed this ball into this start to kitchen game is like that's the ball you're going to get when you hit your drive. So the most common thing 4 or 5 and below is like trying to hit the drive as a winner. The drive is creating pressure and maybe an outright point scorer, but it's not about hitting a clean winner and making them look good. I think the most frustrating thing that I see, live balls in clinics and teaching and playing myself is this hits the tape and people get, especially on the guy's side, it's like at point oh, who cares, right? If I'm on the other side, I'm like, thanks, bud. Like, thanks. You just like dumped your whole chance of scoring into the net. And so it's about putting it on them, putting it on your opponent, preferably on the right side, or if they're in transition, kind of like getting slow to the line. But you earn this mid-court reset. You earn this fifth shot drop, fifth shot reset to get into the kitchen, which is like the biggest win, the biggest like short-term win. So we create pressure with this drive motion. And then we continue to get in. Mid-court, now it's established, now it's 50-50. Now you can use your hands, now you can use your dink, now you can use your lob, now you and your partner can do it. So on this fifth shot block, what I've seen a little bit too much of is, like, in my opinion, is like trying to roll this from low. It's not an opportunity to really be offensive. You have two players who are already there waiting for you using their length. So just shovel, push, be as conservative and compact with the stroke as possible. You don't need to try to lunge and get in and try to introduce wrist and top swing with that. Basically, it's like it's not a free trip to the kitchen, but it's a well-earned trip to the kitchen. If you get this block or this awkward reset from someone here, kind of get it in. And on the ladies, we don't typically see that as much. Sometimes it's like grip it and rip it from mid-court, which you can get away with if you're very good, if your partner's got good hands and you're kind of in unison. But otherwise, like, try experimenting without ripping this like knee-high mid-court ball to try to get it in and work the point. And longer rallies are more fun, to be honest, and that's where you're going to have to go on this 4-2, 4-5, 5-0 journey. Specifically around the kitchen stuff, this the tall white guy hop is like a serious disease in pickleball with the two-hander. So everyone kind of popping up on the two-hander, like, it's going to really introduce a lot of variability into your shot. If you're wondering why your two-hander roll is going high and getting like kind of punched down by your to your partner or your opponent, it's because you're popping up, right? It's really about getting there, being stable, using this arm, shoulder, wrist, but not trying to kind of introduce more. It's already complex of enough shot as it is. And again, we're not trying to hit a clean winner. It's not singles, not anything. We're trying to make this bounce in the middle, or we're trying to make this bounce like we're putting on the corner. We're not trying to rip it past it like a clean winner. To just prevent the body top and bounce. We're here, there, back. That's one thing. The other thing, and this is like it's a pretty common pattern, but it should help you like understand what shot you should go for. So when we talk about dinking, there's actually like 3 or 4 types of dinks on each side. Right? It could be a half volley, it could be a shovel, it could be a roll. Right? There's all these little permutations of dinking. It's not just like one dink, one dink, one dink. Right? It catches you in awkward spots. That's why it looks easy on camera, it looks easy here. But when you try to go and do it against better players, they can make you hit 5 shots in a row, and it's not all going to be the same one. That is to say, when you are here, when your head is down, or your weight is backwards, or your weight is to the side, or your core weight is here, that is like you're going to make a conservative shot. Right? There's not going to be a roll, there's not going to be a crazy sense of pressure, there's not going to be a speed up. So it's just a very good cue that will apply probably 95% of the time. When we're here, there, here, right? Anytime we're in this like lunging, body weight shift, head down, we're not going to do anything besides try to make the next ball. Right? So this could be here, we're back, we're here. I'm not doing this to try to speed up. If someone hits a good pressure dink to my right foot, I'm shoveling, we're back, right? They are just honestly creating pressure for you. They did a good shot with roll or spin or misdirection. They hit a good shot. You need to honor that shot, because that good shot just doesn't look sexy. It actually has pressure. It carries with it a decision. And more often than not, when your head or your body weight is here, it's going to be conservative. So just soften up your grip, soften up your aspirations to win the point, get into the next one. When you're pushed, on this similar note, when you are pushed wide, it could be on this side, it could be on this side, when we are pushed wide, when we are catching up to the ball and doing our best to stably get there with our feet and a decision, immediately you should be thinking just go to middle, right? So drilling is awesome. Do more drilling. Everyone should be doing more drilling than you're doing now. Even if you're at the 60, 40, 70, 30. Do more drilling if you want to get better. And getting better is more fun and whatever. Like, the direct blade, you can cast the side a little. Drilling would be good. The one slight downside of drilling is that if Michael and I are drilling cross court, you have to be conscious of not trying to like ingrain bad patterns. So if we're rolling two-handers to each other, roll to my corner. If we're doing this, if I'm trying to practice my two-hander, but I'm rolling a ball that's like at my feet carrying pressure and I'm off my back foot, I actually don't want you getting better at that shot. I want you having things at it like a reset volley or a half volley. Instead of, don't do the plum. As much as I'm familiar with the special talents of plum, you're not plum, I'm not plum, and plum is actually feeling the limitations of that shot. The same thing is like if he pushes it here to this corner, I'm not trying to hit his corner. I am trying to hit this soft middle spot to earn myself a chance. Because if I try to go aggressive, it's likely that I get in the net. There's a likelihood I leave it high, this whole middle's open, and my partner's now exposed. So when you're on the move and when you are pushed, calibrate and try to make a more conservative shot so you can get back in. And when you get your neutral dink, then you can roll and see what we want to do with that. But don't try to match aggressiveness with aggressiveness at the kitchen when you're kind of pushed wide. It's already hard enough to make this shot softly and not kind of giving up the ball. The biggest misconception, and it's not bad if you do it, but the biggest misconception about creating topspin is that you need to like use your wrist and you need to brush, right? So if you've done like semi-western, a lot of the gals do it with plum or others, right? It's like I need to like brush, right? I'm going to create topspin by like using my T700 grip and brushing over the ball. But I also could do this. I could also use no wrist movement and basically lift this ball from low to high and create an opportunity for shape of brush. This could be a dink with topspin. This could be a mid-court transition, which we wouldn't necessarily do what I said. Or it could be your classic third flat round. How many times has my paddle crossed my butt? 0. How many times have I like imparted wrist spin on it? 0. The reason why it works is because we're going from low to high with this paddle base, kind of like on the outside of the ball. And as I come up, the ball grabs on the paddle. And I can shape it a lot of different ways. I can get a lot of top spin, but I don't have to use my wrist. A little bit of wrist can be good, but where everyone wants to get, which is better, the biggest way to get better is to be more consistent. The best way to be more consistent is to be repeatable. An aspect of repeatability is being compact, right? So having less stuff moving, having to worry about less variation, I can get below the ball, behind it, and lift my arm. This is almost all an arm thing from a stable body position. Again, from low to high, a little bit on the outside of the ball. Give you power and option. Trying to, but it works really well on normal dinks, even when I'm hitting the 6. That's it. Now the beauty of this is that it turns into your speedo. So I'm here, I'm there. Right?
Sorry that the audio is kind of faint. I didn't give him a mic for this one, but I got him mic'd up for the next lesson after this drill. But he gave some great pointers there. So this drill is called dimes. It's actually a great drill or warm-up I recommend to anyone who doesn't feel like playing a full game. So here's how it works. You get 10 serves per side, so 10 chances to score. You and your partner alternate serves, and you don't switch sides if you win. It's kind of like rally scoring. The goal is just to see how many points you can rack up in that 10 serves. After your 10 serves, it switches to the other team, and they get 10 chances to try to beat your score. Yeah, so this is an awesome drill. It really forces you to focus on consistency over flash. No need for crazy shots. Just keep it simple, get it over the net, and let them make the mistake, and you'll start to realize that pickleball is a lot simpler than you think. Highly recommend everyone to give this drill a shot. A lot of fun, pretty fast paced, and you'll learn a lot about all the shots that you're taking. So I do wonder how they're going to be picking players with so many people trying out. They have, 3 staffs or coach walking around looking at 36 people. I do wonder. But this is definitely not what I expected. I had no idea what this trial was going to be like. Honestly, this felt way more like a clinic than a tryout. They have us doing drills while the coaches walked around taking notes. Then they would stop us, give feedback on what they're seeing, and move us into the next drill. Very, very chill format. I know other cities did more of a tournament style tryout, but this one definitely felt like a clinic, which honestly I'm not mad about it, because I get to learn, and drilling is the best way to learn and improve. So.
How was that? How was Dimes? Honest review. Good? Wow. There we go. There we go. No, definitely faster. Did everyone feel a little bit of like, man, if I'm going for too much? Yeah, you feel a little bit of pressure, and also you feel, I think there's a fun like offense defense of like, hey, let's stop them, let's stop them. It's not just like this back and forth. It's like, boom, we're doing well. We're making smart decisions out of the air to keep them back. I think it's fun. Again, use it at like the pickle party where there's 1 or 2 courts, but 20 people want to get on, or use it as a fun warm-up to your tournament prep, or use it in your drill sesh. It'll give you that, obviously, game-like scenarios, but really, pickleball can be so fun and addicting. That's obviously why we're here. That's why we watch. That's why we like consume. That's why we watch paddle reviewers. That's why people create. Right? It's like very stimulating, but you got to understand that like you need to be a little bit slower in treating these things as special, because every point does matter at the end of the day, and every rally, obviously matters. And that's what rally scoring was great at. I think it showed everyone just like making balls is the thing. So the first theme that I want to just share is like your biggest weapon will be consistency. Like your biggest weapon will be consistency. Like, and that's not doesn't always feel like a weapon, but you'll look back when you're 4-5, 5-0, and you'll look back at 4-0s playing, and you'll say they're just trying to do too much, or like, wow, he's going from below the net, or like he's on this corner trying to go to that corner, or like he's trying to drop and create like a winner. And that will come in time. Like you probably see that amongst some of your frustrating playing partners sometimes. You're like, dude, just make it, right? Well, that's also applies to yourself. So just understand that like your consistency and bringing like good footwork, solid decision making, and solid strokes is the way to like have the most fun, but also be the most competitive against a range of partners, right? When you go into tournament time, you may not know who they are. They may be nervous bangers playing on a cold ball with a cold day with a lifetime. You're going to be getting line drives. The other time it's going to be soft with a Franklin, and they're going to want to dink, and they're going to slow it down, and they're going to bring you in, right? You need that consistency to be. You can't just have one genre of like this works at my local court, this works in my backyard, this works here at the Pickler. It's like you have to be robust and consistent enough, because otherwise people are going to find that spot, and because it's competition time, they're going to like pummel that spot, and you're going to walk out the corner and be like, damn, I got to go drill. And it's like, yeah, you better drill, and you better have the kind of fluency across. That said, all of us have different skill sets. Some of us came from table tennis. Some of us are long. Some of us are super quick. Some of us have a little bit of deception, have a little bit of mojo. I just want to urge you, in addition to building your floor up, that consistency, focus on one weapon. Like one weapon that comes well to you or that you like practicing the most. And it can't be super niche. It can't be like I could pull this half a time in a game, right? This is the easiest example, and he's is J.W. Johnson, right? Right? He's the outlier of the outlier because of his hand speed. But the thing that he's done and he still doesn't have another elite weapon other than ball making is his backhand flick, right? For 3 or 4 years in modern pro pickle, he is like a top 5 guy because he will dink you, conservative dink. The most conservative dinks you'll find on a left side player waiting for this, right? His whole goal is for him and his partner, shout out to Klinger, but is to get to the kitchen to work a point to find this. Now, does he have elite hands if you attacked him? Yes. But more importantly, his whole thing is to set up for this. And he's done that while everyone else has two-handers, everyone else is trying lobs, people have equally good hands. And again, he is an outlier but I think you could also be that outlier where it's like the one thing that you really like doing, you just live and breathe that, and you're able to pull that in tournament time. You're able to pull that against a variety of opponents, lefty, righty, playing soft, playing hard, tall, short, aggressive, good hands, not. In the Instagram reel, YouTube, and we all have an incentive to like share something that's going to be cool, sexy, new, but you really just want to go as deep as you can on one of these things. So it could be a backhand flick, it could be a two-handed roll dink that turns into a speed up. It could just be your fast hands, right? You don't do anything crazy at the kitchen, you just wait for people to make dumb decisions or make a mistake, and then you're there. Whatever it is that you could really, you don't want to boil the ocean. You don't want to have a mediocre, or as the kids say, a mid two-handed roll dink, and then have like a solid off the bounce dink that you can only pull and rack, and then like your flick can only go cross court because you're not actually rolling it, right? It's like if you have that, you're going to be left with like something that's not actually piercing pressure, right? And so everyone is going to want to try different things. You're going to copy your friends. I've done this too. I've been on this journey for 3 or 4 years, and I've seen it, and I can tell you with clarity that if there's one thing that came naturally to you that is like a core shot, just continue to make sure that is as good as possible while making balls in the other capacities. Does that make sense? Because you don't want to be an inch deep, mile wide. And it's like, think about it in tournament time. When someone has a really good something, it is still very hard to keep it away from them, even though you know that player, you've seen him at 0-0-2 twice. You know that player is going to try to do this thing. You and your partner are playing for the first time. You're nervous. You're down 0-4 in the first game. You're just trying to make the shots that you can. It's still going to funnel into their core shot. It's really hard to avoid a staple shot. And if you want to do that, then you're in your own head getting out of the team. So it's like just this presence of one weapon. This person does this. That's actually not a bad thing. I think that's actually a pretty good thing. And then you'll earn the opportunity to invest in another true weapon that is robust through competition, through pressure, through opponents, right? And if I have this weapon, there is so much juice to squeeze on how my partner responds to that too, right? So whether they're a lefty or righty, having them move in unison with me to cover this middle because I'm going to get it started, right? You don't need to finish the point outright or hit the winner. You need to create the awkward pressure for them to follow up. Or if they're hitting really good roll dinks, knowing that I shouldn't be soft off the line, I should be ready for something to pop up and follow up. So something like that, there's just so much depth. And this game looks simple at first, but then you realize obviously it's chess and it grabs you and it's like, whoa, it's like tennis and golf. It has that complexity. That depth is what you're going to want in one of those weapons. And it's really fun to peel back the layer of like, oh, I can slap here like James Ignatovich, but like how do I roll on my fourth? How do I roll on my sixth? How do I flick from below the net? Or how do I just understand that I can volley it safely, right? All this is like 50 hours of deliberate conscious work just on this. And we're not talking about a forehand out of the air. We're not talking a forehand off the bounce. We're not talking here. We're not talking deceptive dinks. Like, we're not talking any of that. It's just this, being able to do this 8 times out of 10. So I can't stress enough, like, finding that, like, take your addictive / I want to be good, I want to be an optimizer, and funnel that into one lane. The small tip here and the big challenge, and I saw a lot of good extended rallies. The big mental hitch and goal is to get into the next chapter of the point. So when it's not there, it's not there, and just make it easier on yourself. So when someone's moving up to me and hitting good drops or decent resets, and I'm like this, or this, or this, or this, it's not there, right? It is not an opportunity, especially if they're athletic with decent hands, for me to like try it, right? Because they're closing, and they see you here. You're kind of committed to this. So I see a lot of folks trying to really volley cross, and it's a harder shot, and more often than not, if you realize it, there's someone already there. So you're just taking a lot of risk on hitting a shot that has low upside into someone that will immediately penalize you, and you can't actually play out the rally, right? So if I get this, I'm catching the ball basically here. I'm not trying to slice, I'm catching the ball and using an arm-based kind of like push and some softness in my hand to get this ball settled into middle. So get into the next chapter point, because it's not here and it's not going to be there. It's here, and now we're here, right? And in 4-0, I see a lot of people who have decent hands, who have decent dinks, and have like want to develop the point and shape it and create a pattern. But you can't do that unless you get into that next bulk of the point, and you're just taking too much risk on your fourths and your sixths by trying to like volley this cross court. They're already there, and even if they're not, they're 2 steps off. It's like cool. They're going to step into like a dink. It's not an aggressive shot that I think you should take that risk on. The other thing is people got some nice drops. You want to make that drop as effective as possible. So again, not trying to rush through it, but just, and again, people are rotating, so I understand the fact that you haven't played with these partners, but whether it's your tournament partner or your best friend that you're typically on the court with, when you feel a ball that's off your paddle and you know it's money because it's neutral, you're stable, and you're hitting the shot that you really like, tell them to go. Tell them it's good, right? Don't let them have to like look and judge. And it's like, if you know it's good or good enough, and we'll talk about what good enough is, then like tell them to go. And they're not going to be like blindly sprinting up, but they're like, okay, I'm going to be here. If it's bad, you're like back. Or if it's like this, you're like, wait, and we're both here, right? So just that subtlety will bring a lot of closing pressure. You're not doing it. You're not running through your drop. You're at 4-0, 4-5 now. You're not going to be able to like be the guy or gal that like poaches off of their own drop. Like that time is kind of gone as you play up. You're going to like want your partner to provide that physical closing pressure. That one makes the ball get closed off into you and much softer, so your 5th shot or your 7th reset is easier, right? And so if someone's hitting a good cross-court drop, I'm coming up, I'm split stepping, boom. We've just made this really feel tight and narrow for this partner. And if they want to volley cross and take that risk, then maybe you poach, or if they deaden it well, then you're into the kitchen, and that's a big win, that's a big advantageous start to the point. Does that make sense? So just communicate lightly with your partner, and it's like such a subtle thing. It can even happen on mid-court resets. When someone is hitting down on you and it's really hard to bail yourself out, the ultimate goal is to get it up and above the net. But if it's a little high, at the shoulder, and there's pace coming, you're like watch or back, right? Just making sure at all costs we're not moving forward or we're not moving through it, but we're just settled down and trying to dig. It's pure defensive, we're digging, and both of us are going to be digging. But as soon as you know that reset's a little high, watch or whatever you want to say, just cues that person to be like, let's sit into it and let's try to get out of this together. The biggest thing on mid-court resets, especially if you're getting under a lot of pressure, you don't have to reset it and try to take off pace and make it bounce. Up and over the net, make them play. For the folks who've got some tennis backgrounds, if you're at the baseline, you've seen this in pro emerging as like defensive drives, right? So it's not like winner drive, but also not like I'm trying to reset a hard shoulder high ball that's crunched at me. I'm just taking like a half drive just to get it over the net. JW, Christian, a lot of the gals, Tyra, Georgia, like they're all doing it because they have that skill, but it's too hard to reset cleanly these shoulder high balls. So just get it back over the net, and maybe it'll be tight and give you a soft block. Maybe they'll just give you another hard one. You hit another hard one back, right? Make them work for it. People like going for the Ernie, and that's good. I think it's like an important, I don't think it's like the weapon that you're always going to use, but it's something that can be good to have in your toolbox, and it really starts with like your mental anticipation of it. Just as a refresher, like if you were going to Ernie me from the right hand side, you're typically looking for me to either be lazy and somehow like dropping up the line, which doesn't happen as much. Sometimes it happens cross, but typically it happens off the kitchen rally where I'm here, it's behind me, it's out to my left, and my head's down, right? So I'm going to be relatively smart and not try to go to the corner. I'm going to try to keep it in play, but if I keep it two in play along the line, that's where you make your jump, right? That's where you make this jump where you jump around the corner, you scamper over, and you do that, right? So my head, the trick here is you have to wait for me to actually hit the ball. If I'm going here and I see you or hear you, then you've completely like nullified the whole sense of pressure. But if I'm here and I hit it, then you go. Then you go, you smack it down to my feet, and you turn to your partner, and like that's a sick point, right? The key is when you're going for this Ernie, or you want to play a strong right, like when you're going for the Ernie, look for the heads down, and wait like a third of a second longer than you think you should to make that jump. But if you're not going for the Ernie, don't show the Ernie. I got to do this on this side. Don't show the Ernie just to show it. I'd rather have you go for it outright if you're going to do it and set yourself up. But when people show the Ernie, you're not actually playing like a strong right. Like, either go for the Ernie or hug middle. Hugging middle, we've seen Gabe, Hayden, you're seeing a lot of the guys do it, especially who are righties. This best ball, when you hit, she has a corner shot, sorry, hit this, is come backing to the middle. But if I'm kind of like floating, showing Ernie because I want to be like threatening him, it's like you've actually made it really easy for them to hit a backhand reset dink. Versus you're here and then you're giving them a nice volley dink. Or you're here and you're speeding up, right? If you're just here floating on the corner, they can see that. They're actually not going to hit it line, and they have a much easier job. You've just given this whole window and cushion. So just stay here, whether you're 5'6" or 6 foot, like stay here and create pressure. Stay here and create visual pressure. And then if she is truly heads down, well, hit an out ball in and celebrate it because it still counts as an Ernie. Ernie from the left is still, so if someone hits a good roll dink, go to the middle, neutral. If someone hits a good roll dink, like you want that same stretch, same head down, feet are locked, and they think they're going to reset. And you're waiting, again, you're waiting for them to actually hit it versus it's going to her. And I'm like, and it's like, she's going to see me. She's going to redirect that. And it actually doesn't even have to be a great redirect. It could be like ploppy as hell, but I'm like over here and it's like, boom. And so it's pretty tough. The thing is, you can also communicate with your partner. I wouldn't say it as out loud explicitly, but if someone has a good roll dink, either they're like forehand or two-handed roll, like, and you're creating those types of opportunities where someone's kind of like on skates, then you can say look for that. But if they don't have a roll dink, then it's going to be really hard to create some of these opportunities. So if you have it, use it. Don't try to hit a winner, just create pressure, but know what your partner has and know what you have. And some of you guys can start looking for that. Last thing, and I think this is like relatively new, but has anyone heard of the drip? Drive drop. Basically it's a drive drop. So 2022, 2023, like high level pro pickleball was like slice drop like this. Push it in because you didn't have grit. You weren't really going top to high, right? It's a little bit like an Andre Diascu drop right now. You're just shoveling it in. You're trying to get to the kitchen play at the point. Then we got more spin and people are creating kind of roll drops. Still not as aggressive. Zane is a big proponent of the drip. It's kind of like an in-between of your drop and your drive. So if a drive was like boom, your drip is boom. So not as like 9-iron ploppy drop, but it's creating pressure with shape and a little bit of pace. The biggest thing here and why the drip is effective is because shape creates pressure, right? Remember when someone hits a good drive at you, it's not the hard, we're all used to it now, and you're all going to get further used to it. Like the hard line drive at 50 miles per hour to your chest, you're like, no thank you, right? It actually puts them in a bad position. But when someone hits a drive or a drip that has like 6 inches of movement and it's like cresting the net or like coming down at you or you're in transition and moving, that makes it so hard. That makes it infinitely harder. So that shape of topspin or like cresting creates the pressure. And what I want to convey to you, the real takeaway here is that your drops or your drips don't have to bounce, right, to create a lot of pressure. So if classically it would have been like, you got to get the ball to drop. You got to get the ball to drop. Yes, but we're in a different time. We're in a different time of athleticism, skill, paddle technology. So if I hit this to Virginia, it's like pretty easy for her to handle, right? It's like, and she knows kind of what to do. If it's down at your feet, you're not going to be aggressive. She's kind of queued up to do. But if I hit this, she has to make a decision out of the air in real time as to what to do. Am I going to be aggressive? Am I going to be a soft? Where am I going to be soft? Am I going to attack my opponent who I've told to go? Right? This creates a lot of pop-ups, a lot of pressure, a lot of dumps into the net. But this seems like a great drop, but then and we're in, so it's a good goal. But I want you and your partner to realize that, like, if you're creating some shape with a drop or a drip, it's really good to have them hitting it from their knee. I'd actually rather have people hitting it from their knee and risking going a foot up the net than I would for them to have this like floppy drop to be able to do whatever they want to me. So this is like a no-brainer, real quick, and then we'll get back to playing. This is a no-brainer when Virginia's unwinding. I'm trying to get it down at her knee because there's space. I don't actually have to land it in the kitchen. She has this soft space because she's getting in off of a hard serve, right? And so you have so much window of opportunity. I'd rather have you aim for their knee and for their shin for have to handle this in real time as opposed to this soft and floppy drop. Now, if you've got that and it's getting you in, continue to do it, but experiment with the notion that if you get it on them in transition, in motion, or with shape, that actually will yield a lot of opportunities where folks are not smart enough to cross into the next half of the point. They're going to go for too much or they're going to mishandle stuff, right? The volley is like the toughest thing, especially if you don't come from a racket culture. A soft volley or a smart volley is very tough to handle. So your drops don't necessarily need to bounce. If it's hitting someone's shin or knee when you're drilling, that can be quite good. You don't have to think about applying more spin. Just make sure that you can hit that on them, and if they're returning and transitioning to the line, it's 5x easier. So just look for that. Look for that. If they're up, if they're moving and they're slow, and here they need a split step. They need to decide what they want to do. They have to see the partner. I have to register. I have to like volley across court. All that stuff is way more infinitely complicated than like taking a ball and like half volleying it from my feet.
So now we're doing a mixed gender dimes game, and I had to throw this clip in here because Raz, the one on the top left, hit this nasty tweener right there. I was just so flabbergasted. What a nasty shot. But yeah, this was the tryout, and like I said, it honestly felt like a clinic. I had to leave early, so I missed the last part, but they said that they would send out an email to the people who made the team. I left feeling like this was just a super unique experience. This cost me $100 to have a 4-hour-long drill and lesson. And I just want to show you guys what it looked like to try out for an official team. Again, this might be totally different depending on which minor league you're trying out for. But I'm guessing there's a reason why the Texas Ranchers chose to run it this way, with drills and lessons instead of like a tournament to decide who's the best out of the people that are there.
Yeah, let's go. Got it. Yep. Yes, dude, let's go. Yes, sir, come on.